I'm Brandon Miller, and you are listening to Coach. This weekly series dives deep into the world of CliftonStrengths and how they impact your daily life. Hear from certified strengths coaches on the ins and outs, quirks, and characteristics of all 34 strengths and 4 domains and how they play out in real life. Let's get started. Hello, and welcome back to Coach Season 2 of the Strengths Whisperer. I'm here today with Dahlia Sutrisno, and we are talking about focus. Dahlia comes to us with 10 years of coaching experience, a very diverse background that I can't wait for you to hear all the ways that she develops her focus strength. It's pretty awesome, friends. And she is one of the newest members of the team at 34 Strong. I'm not sure if I invited her and then we hired her, or I hired her and then we invited her. But either way, I am so happy to introduce Dahlia today. Welcome to Coach.
Thank you. Thank you, Brandon. I'm happy to be here today.
Let's dive right into focus, Dahlia. So here we have a strength that I think sometimes, because the name implies what it could be, some might have an idea of, well, this is just what focus is. Can you share with our listeners how you, as a high focus, define this, develop this, grow this for our base of this conversation?
Yeah, sure, Brandon. So everybody talks about focusing on this, focus on that, focus on weakness, focus on strengths. My focus is when I have something to aim at, a goal, or even when I have to concentrate on something in the moment. So focus, when you talk about mindfulness, focus puts me in the present moment. And I love to use my focus because it gets me in the flow of what I'm doing. It puts me there. So I eliminate noise. I eliminate my own self-talk, the voice in my brain and say, what is this? And then I also, eliminate distraction. So, how we have all this social media talk about, how social media is distracting all of us and our concentration, making our attention span shorter. But focus is really put me in the flow, in the present moment. And I would say that it gives me 100% attention and concentration to anything that I'm working on or, doing, or even like right now I'm focusing on this coach to coach call with you.
I love it. 100% attention, 100% concentration, present in a moment, and flow. Dahlia, I'm so jealous. I'm hearing you talk about the strength, and I'm thinking, do you know how hard I have to work for any one of those things at any one time of my life or my day? And this is one of those strengths that is not high for me. So I love it. It's one of those that I appreciate. I put such high value to it because truly with this particular strength, people with focus, they can really get a lot done. They can really set out to accomplish something, and then they can zero in on it, and then they see it through. I call it the throughput effect. They have the throughput. They can get from here to there by this incredible ability just to determine an outcome and then stay the course until they reach that place. Can you add some color commentary to this? Because I know my intro did not nearly uncover all of the diverse things that you do in your background. And I think our listeners are going to enjoy hearing about all the things you do. Please do not leave out Latin salsa. So let's just start with stuff that you do and how you grow your focus.
Yeah, sure. So I always thought that when I put my heart to something, I will accomplish. So you say put through, go through, follow through, right? So for me it's almost like with resilience, with strong mental power, willpower, I can run a marathon and, not give up. So that's how my focus works. How I develop my focus, Brandon, is since young, I've been exposed to martial arts. So my family, I grew up with siblings who do martial arts in Taekwondo and all that. But I found Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and rifling at a shooting range to be very helpful to strategically develop my focus. So I strategically develop my focus. So you can say that I'm a very bad multitasking person. Like I'm a bad multitasker. So don't expect a focused person like me to do 10 things at a time. I will actually break down. I will, they say you don't crack under pressure. I don't crack under pressure when I'm in focus, but don't pressure me to do 10 things at one time. So I train martial arts, I train jujitsu. If I don't want to get choked, in MMA, then I need to focus in the game. If I'm grappling with somebody and, my mind goes to, hey, what did Brandon say just now in the meeting before this training? Then I would easily get submitted and choked in Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. And then in rifling, it's really blocking everything in my peripherals around me and just concentrating at the bull's eye. That for a focused person is what I need. It's so serene. Like when I'm in the moment and focusing, I feel I am in my element. And a lot of people don't understand this about focused people.
I've come to appreciate this strength so much. I've really researched it, sought to understand it, because early in the life of this particular company, 34 Strong, which was founded 11 years ago, my partner Darren, his CliftonStrengths said he was a top 5 focus. And we're very opposite in our style of work. I'm very high arranger, activator, achiever. So I'm constantly strategic. I'm constantly moving and organizing and thinking in terms of how I process. And something Darren and I had to land on very early in our journey was the appreciation and respect for when he was in focus time. And that when I would interrupt his focus time, it actually would set him back further than if we just waited till that set aside time, whatever hours were being needed, and then just waited. So we actually had a signal we created where I would check in to see where is this a good time? And he would respond focused. And I'd say, cool, I'll catch you later. Or he would say, yeah, this is actually a good point for us to talk about another concept. Give me that chance. So for yourself, when you talk about that in the moment, serene, staying in that zone, talk about why that's so important for a focus, what that gives you in that space.
I guess for focused people, you also want to like I said about rifling, right? Like you want to get to that point, especially for me also as a maximizer. I want to achieve excellence. So I do not like to give people half-baked cake from my oven. Okay, so the words that will stand out to people like for focused people like me would be precision, accuracy, right? So if you take me away from that serenity of being in the flow and moment, then I feel like there's in chemistry you put impurities, right? There's noise, there's so much noise, and that's taking away that accuracy that we're aiming for. So yeah, I think one thing is my focus and Darren's focus would complement your arranger, like what you just mentioned. We will complement you, with balance. But yeah, you can definitely leverage us for where we want to get to, especially with your activator. Let's get here. Don't get distracted,
I love it. I've used the image in describing the strength of a surgeon. And I would say, let's all agree that if you're the one on the table, you really want your surgeon with their focus fully engaged in the zone, thinking about you and what's happening in that moment. And I want to ask this question because something that has come up in the past with focus has to do with memory. And some people with high focus have photographic memory capability. They literally can snap on, see things, and then it's imprinted and they remember that forward. I'm curious for you with memory and just how that focus allows you to so tune into something that then the recall becomes very apparent to you. You can bring it back around, remember it, and then engage with it. Is that something you've experienced with your focus?
Yeah, Brandon, about focus, I want to add on to that point also. And when we were talking about you and Brandon and how you interact, I worked at Gallup with consultants, and we would go into a brainstorming. This was when I first developed and used my focus with the team. So I worked with consultants who all have ideation and analytical. So we would go into a room and discuss. And that room would turn into suddenly we're all singing to rock music, and then suddenly we're talking about travels and this country and that country because the team was so diverse. And at the end of the day, we're like, oh, we didn't really get to the concepts or the idea or the framework that we want for the client. That was the objective of the meeting. So then we lost focus. So we found that we were very productive on the fun side, but we were not productive for achieving the objective of the meeting. So what happened is my team would go, oh, what did we say just now? Or, like, what did we say we were going to do? Because we were having so many ideas. So my focus was leveraged by the team. So the team was like, to your point about memory. So Dahlia, where are we right now? Where are we supposed to go? And I had a bell in the room. I was given the chief of bell and focus. Like, I had a bell in the room. Anybody go off tangent from the topic, I have to ring the bell politely because everybody's having fun, right? So I have to ring the bell and say, guys, we need to refocus. And I will go back to exactly where were we just now, or what did we discuss last time, especially when you're working with ideation people. So that's helpful.
Dahlia, we're getting you a bell here at 34 Strong. You can expect one to arrive so that for all of the meetings that Brandon is in, that you're in, you're going to have a Brandon bell because what you just described, music, travel, oh, this with the family, this over here. Oh my goodness. And when you have the reality of time, and time is the great equalizer, right? Time captures each of us. So important that strength. So listeners, as you're hearing Dahlia today, this is someone with over 10 years experience coaching, newest member of our team, one of the newest members of the team here at 34 Strong. And here she is now picking up client work, engaging in coaching. So Dahlia, I want to put you on the other side of the table now. So now you're the coach coaching a high focus, and you're going to help someone with high focus be successful, develop this strength, master it, gain the best from it, recognizing that every one of our individual strengths are dependent upon others. And we're gonna save the dynamic conversation for another season because right now we're isolating. So if we were gonna isolate and support someone with high focus to develop and grow it, what are some ways that you can coach someone that's out here listening today, high focus? Dahlia, how do I grow this? What are some ideas for them from you as a coach?
Yeah. So first of all, as a coach, for someone with high focus, what they will love that I also have focus. So I become their accountability buddy. Like I keep them stay on track with their goals and actions. So they would love that. Now, for them to develop, like how I found the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and rifling helped me to focus, I would ask questions like, what are some of the patterns you see in yourself when you are in the flow, when you lose track of time, when you lose sense of time, you're in the moment? And what do you hate as distractions? So from those patterns that, I will get it out from my coachee, we will define the strategy because your focus, his focus, Brandon's focus, my focus, our focus work differently. They play it differently. So that's how I will get out of my high focus client and say, now it's really easy to say, here's where you want to go in the next 3 to 6 months. Yes. Well, what's all the noise and distractions? And most of the time, Brandon, it's what they believe, the self-limiting belief, what they believe. That's what I first help to eliminate so they can see things very clearly forward, and let's focus towards that. So that's more of how I help my coaches, to develop their focus.
Dahlia, you're bringing up a very, very interesting point. I think it's important that we remember that every one of these strengths because there are patterns of how we think, feel, and behave that have now been claimed, and now they're being directed to become consistently top performance. However, that same capability, when it's turned inside out, can actually work against us. So in thinking about focus, because you have the ability to lock in, I suppose what you just mentioned is important. We can lock into something positive, powerful, that has great impact, but we can also get stuck locking into something negative, critical, something that's actually going to work against us. So I think someone with this strength, it sounds like, has to know how to disengage focus, how to retract it from an outcome that's unhealthy, not good, not going to serve purpose, and learn how to redirect it towards something positive. And could you share a little bit about that? Because I think in all of our journeys, it helps sometimes just to reflect on, here's a real life example. I can aim it here and get the best possible conclusion, or if I let it wander, go its own way, because negativity bias is normal. We all do it. So we're prone to move that way in drift. And so at times, intentionality toward keeping focused, if you will, on the right outcomes is important.
Yeah, great point, Brandon. If, let's say, someone just got fired and I'm coaching this person, right? Now, he could go into high focus of the negative self-blame. Oh, I didn't do this. I could have done that. And it would be so hard for me to get this person out of that focusing on the self-blaming, negative self-talk, to get him to say, hey, let's polish your resume. Let's look at all the potential employers you want to look for. What are the list of 10 employers you want to go for? So to your point, it's right. There's that you can be focused to the wrong thing also because of your focus tool. So then that takes to, you need self-awareness. So that's why, as a coach, I be your mirror and I say, are you focusing on the right thing also? Because if you're focusing on all the self-blame, and you might go into, negativity, you build negative emotions, you don't get into action. If you're fired, maybe you want to go into healing because you're grieving. You want to go start networking, but if you're stuck here, you get into depression and all that. So that's not going to get you into action. So you're right, Brandon. What do you focus on with your focus is very important.
Yeah, the power of focus will remain no matter what. Where you choose to aim it becomes important. I am a fan of the Lord of the Rings trilogy. And I love the image of focus in what's called the Eye of Mordor. So it's this giant tower with a fiery eye. And wherever the eye looks, that's the focus. And when I'm talking to someone with high focus, I have joked with them when they're talking to me or I'm talking to them and I realize, oh, you just moved your eye off me. I can tell. You are no longer seeing me. You have moved to something else, because it's so obvious, right? It's I'll call you back when you're back on me, because right now you're clearly on something else. And in a conversation with someone, coincidentally at Gallup some years back, they laughed hysterically, like, "Oh my gosh, I'm so obvious, aren't I?" And I said, "Oh yeah, you just started mumbling, uh-huh. And I could tell I've lost the room. You are no longer with me, and we're the only two on this call right now."
Oh,
And
no.
so this particular strength, I think you were describing self-awareness, but also I think the intentionality, because it's going to lock in. It's going to aim for a bullseye. And if it's not aware of where it's focused, it can move. It can drift to something else. And then it might be apparent to all around, oh, you gone. You might be here, but you gone. You've moved on. Is that something even in your own journey you're conscious to, you have to be aware of?
Oh, definitely, Brandon. Speaking of the eye, you mentioned the eye. You know what I love? What focus people love? When you talk about the eye, Brandon, I love watching F1, Formula One. I love to see the riders when I see Lewis Hamilton and all those other drivers when I watch TV, like the Drive to Survive on Netflix. Like you see them really ready at the starting point, and you only see their eyes from the helmet. You know, I get so intrigued. I'm like, wow, he's in focus. You know, so I love watching F1 because they have to do so many rounds. How do you stay focused to complete the laps? So that's on what you said about um yeah, so I have if I'm thinking, or if I have selective listening, if the topic is not interesting for me anymore, that shift of the eye, or I have ideation, so that that off track thought process you can see from the eyes also. My eyes move, look up, I'm probably thinking, but when my eyes looking at something else, you, because we always give you the energy when we're in the zone with you. Right, when I'm talking to you, you can feel my presence. You can also feel when my focus goes off. You would immediately feel I don't have a presence with me right now, even though she's sitting right in front of me.
Oh my. Okay. I want us to hear that both from the perspective of you who are high focus and those of you who work with high focus, because the energy that Dahlia describes, I think it's palpable. I think we all can feel that. We can connect with that when a high focus is working with us. And I think when you become more in tune to when it has moved, when it has shifted, and understanding why, what happened, where did we lose? Because what you were describing in the meeting with what we could call a lot of white noise. There was a lot of different topics being discussed. And I imagine for a high focus, that can create some dissonance. At some level, it's, well, we're all here, but we're not getting things done. Things aren't moving forward. That can create some of that space. And so talk to us as we're rounding the bend here of our time. Talk to us about how to get the most from a team member. So there's a member of the team, high focus, and we want to cultivate that strength to give us their very best. And we want to avoid where maybe we're not meeting their needs and helping them to be successful.
Yeah. So I think very important, always the basics: clear expectations, clear goals, clear milestones. And I like the word pulse check. When you wait till 3 to 6 months to check in and talk, let's review this and give me feedback. Let me tell you something. The feedback is not useful anymore. It's good feedback, it's constructive, but the feedback is not useful anymore, especially for high focus people. If you give, it's inevitable that you will go off tangent, especially in a very dynamic, agile environment. A lot of ad hoc things and all. But the pulse checks, 3 minutes, 1 minute pulse check. Are we on track? Will be very helpful for people with high focus to focus himself or herself, but also to keep the team focused. Hey, let's do a pulse check. We don't need 20 minutes meeting. 3 minutes. Are we on track? Where is the progress? We're 50% there. We're 70% there. Oh, something went wrong. Then we round up everybody for a solution. So at the end, when you go 3 months, 6 months down the road, the feedback would be, we had encountered this, during the pulse check, but we overcome this. And these were the solutions. The learning from that is even much more useful and impactful than, the last 3 months or the last 6 months, we didn't do this went wrong, the client was not happy with us and then all these conflicts will start to come out because somebody will start blaming somebody will start feeling guilt, So yeah, that's how you clear expectations, goals, pulse check.
Pulse check. I love that. Pulse check supports high focus and it brings that energy back to the target, back to the outcome. So Dahlia, I mentioned they got to hear about the Latin dance. So tell us about how Latin dance and focus connect with each other. That was my best if you're on video. me moving my arms in a very awkward way to illustrate Latin dance, which looks nothing like that. So just for funs, tell us about your Latin dance, Dahlia.
Yeah, so I grew up not in Latin culture, but my heart, they say you dance from your heart. My heart would just go with the rhythm of, any Latin music, Spanish guitar, whatever. Like you play Gypsy Kings, like, they say that hips don't lie. So hips don't lie. But when I do salsa dancing or bachata, I am focused. Now that you say this, it just comes to me, Brandon. Here's the thing. Sometimes when you focus, you want to be in control. But in salsa dancing, I cannot be in control. I have to follow the lead. So I have to let go of my focus control and just follow the lead. Because if focus, you'll be like, I want my dance to go, my lead to take me to the right, to the left. Now that's not a dance. So, but yeah, it's so funny you say that, Brandon, because I don't use focus. I was just enjoying and letting myself go and just let the music take me.
I love it. I love it. I love the power that you just illustrated for us with our strengths, that we can turn them up and we can turn them down depending upon what we're doing, where we're at. I heard it once said, it's like volume control. I want my focus all the way up, or in this case, all the way down. And so I really appreciate that illustration and the connection to dance. And so Dahlia, thank you so much for joining us today on Coach to Coach. You were an excellent guest, gave a lot of insight to the strength of focus. Listener, if you'd like to learn more about this strength, our sponsors at 34 Strong, where Dahlia and I both work, we have a resource for you, and it's called How to Be a Good Teammate to Me. And I'm showing it here on the video. It's just a pamphlet that comes out, and it has all the 34 strengths, and it gives you insights into what they contribute when they're at their very best and what they need to be successful. And it has this really cool team exercise called the Best of Me, and it helps to connect those contributions and needs to a team culture. So if that's of interest to you, you can reach out to myself or Dahlia in this case, and we'd be happy to get that to you. Dahlia, if someone wants to find you, where do they look and where might they discover some of what you're sharing these days?
You can email client_services at 34strong.com. My full name is long to spell out right here. If you get access to my email, maybe Dahlia_Sutrisno at 34strong.com. You can also find me on LinkedIn. I'm also a top executive coaching voice on LinkedIn. So yeah, get connected.
Awesome. Thank you, Dahlia. And listeners, thank you for tuning in for this week's episode of Coach to Coach. We look forward to seeing you next time. As always, stay strong. Keep using those strengths. Take care.
Thank you for tuning in to the Strengths Whisperer Coach to Coach. Please feel free to reach out to Brandon to partner with 34 Strong for collaboration opportunities to serve your employees or clients together. If you are a strengths coach, lead a strengths-based team, or are a fan of strength, we invite you to receive our complimentary resource, How to Be a Good Teammate to Me, Understanding My Contributions and Needs. Email Brandon_Miller at 34strong.com to connect, and he will gladly share this resource that will continue to unlock the power of strength.